I used to be a ukulele player for Baha'i. On all the islands, it was handy when we were sailing through the islands, Guitar took up a lot of room on a boat, so Gina bought a little baritone ukulele. She learned a couple of chords, but I seemed to be able to find the right chords for every song, so I got stuck with being the ukulele player.
I remember when Russ and Gina Garcia came to Samoa, sailing to Samoa on their yacht, and then they came to our island, and especially in my village in Savai'i. This is the biggest island of Samoa, and they were doing a meeting. They were gathering all of us young people and children to an entertainment evening, and they were telling us a little bit about their belief about the Bahá'í Faith, the teachings of the oneness of humanity, the oneness of religion, and the oneness of God. And then they sing some beautiful songs. They have melodious voices. Russell was strumming his ukulele and sang Toko Sani in Africa. And they actually taught us these songs.
And we found Baha'is on 2 different islands in the Galapagos. And we couldn't communicate too well with them because they spoke Spanish and we spoke English. But we had a wonderful rapport because we knew we were all working for the same beautiful goals, to make this a beautiful world for the people of every religion, every race, every country.
We lived a lot in what they call lava-lavas or sulus, which I would put, to cover your legs, because in a lot of the villages it was not considered dignified to see, the legs of a woman. And, in the Western world, they would wear shorts and things like that. I might do that on the boat when we're out at sea, but never when we went ashore.
Before Gina and Russell came to Samoa, I was quite a confused young man, because I couldn't believe why there were so many churches in this small village of ours, especially on Sunday when people go to church and the neighbors, they all go to different directions to go to all different churches. But when Gina and Russell came to Samoa, they taught us that there should be only one religion of God, and there should be one church in the village, and everyone should go to one particular church.
And it's amazing. We found Baha'is in very remote places.
I walked into a village here, and the children all started screaming, and they ran up and shouting to me. Some of them were trying to rub the white off my skin because
they'd never seen a white man. Almost 6 years, actually, before we finally settled in New Zealand. The coming to New Zealand was the worst trip I ever had in all that time. When you have 45-foot waves, you're scared. I mean, I have to be absolutely honest, I was scared. I'm not athletic at all. I would rather paint. I'm an indoor girl, I always used to say. But I don't regret, however, doing it for one moment. We were actually anchored in Suva, in the Fiji group at the time, and one of the big cruise ships came in, the ones where they have an orchestra that plays, and a lot of musicians were from New Zealand, were on this big cruise boat that had come in. And of course they go around to all the different hotels, and while they were there at the hotel where we happened to be with our Dawnbreaker, they heard that there was a musician and a writer living on a sailboat, and they knew his name.
See, the public never heard of me, but in the music profession I'm known. I wrote two textbooks,
right,
which are in 5 different languages all over the world. And they had my books, and they had albums that I'd done, and so they asked if we would be interested in coming to New Zealand and doing some radio, TV, and speaking at schools and doing concerts around the country. And I said, of course. And New Zealand kind of found us. I think we were meant to be here.
A course that we originally started out with calling it moral excellence, and we thought, this is something that hasn't been taught for many, many years, as far as I know, in the education system. So we thought we would try to approach a few schools and a few people. And we found moral education doesn't seem to appeal to a lot of people. And when we changed the title, the material is exactly the same. We changed the title to Life Skills. All of a sudden, we're teaching at 3 schools, and it's being used at 4 other schools just in our own Bay of Islands area.
But the way we teach the children, we do it with songs and raps and stories and games.
And
the children love it, and they're learning it, and it's having an effect on these children.
Persistence means to keep trying over and over. Keep doing it. You don't give in. Failure doesn't worry you. Failure, you keep doing it. Okay, genius is inspiration. 1% inspiration. Okay, you're the genius. You explain.
I'm not a genius.
I'm a genius. You're a genius, are you, Bill? Yeah.
These kids really love what we do. They believe what we say, and they practice. The headmaster said, "It's wonderful. I used to go walkabout all the time." He said, "But I don't have to lock anything up now. Purposely, I left money on my desk for a couple of weeks, and it just stayed there. It didn't disappear." He said, "So you're having an effect."
He says, but he really noticed we were having an impact when the school bully went and said to another child at school, "Look, I'm sorry, that was real rude of me." And he said, because we had just covered courtesy, and he said, and to see this happen, he thought that was really wonderful.
There were numerous other schools that they used to go to. They used to have a schedule of Monday at this school, Tuesday at that school, Wednesday at this school.
And we've been doing Tati for 20-some years, this Maori school. And now when I go into town, I'll see somebody driving a big truck that's one of our kids, and the guy that cuts my hair was one of our students. The people working in the supermarket, people working as carpenter's helper. Some of these people are from families that haven't worked for 4 or 5 generations, but these kids are all out there doing it and living a good, happy, productive life.
And you know, for Gina, to get out of bed early in the morning to get to school was always a big sacrifice.
They're using our course in Europe, England,
Australia,
all over
America,
the country in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So it's kind of spreading.
We are sisters and brothers, we are the code of many colors. You and me, me and you and me, we are one family.
Someone had recommended us as nominees for this, they call it the Queen's Service Medal, and for us it was for music, our service to music. We just got a letter in the mail saying that we had been nominated and would we be interested in accepting this, and of course we were honored and overwhelmed that anybody would think that we deserved the Queen's Service Medal, so we said, oh yes.
I worked in New Zealand conducting the symphonies in the different cities, but now after all these years we go overseas for 5 months at least every year, and I work in California, in Canada, in Prague, in Munich. We work in China too, but we don't get paid for that.
This is my certificate. They made me a professor of music at Chongqing University in China because I lecture there every time we go to China. Even at my age, with all this gray hair, I'm still working flat out all over the world.